Hey, how's it going? This is Jess at Medusa Tarot. Hope you're doing great. Today we'll be doing an Archangel guided tarot reading. Let's see who our Archangel is. Spirit, one card, please. Which Archangel would like to send us a message today? One card. Okay, who do we have? Archangel Azrael. Okay, let me put this down and get this message. And Archangel Azrael is connected to Capricorn. So if Capricorn is important to you, then this may be a message especially for you. But again, as I always say, we all have every zodiac in our astrology chart. So at some place in your chart, Capricorn is important to you. So Azrael, the release, helps to release pain, grief, and negative emotions to make way for healing and growth. Okay, so whatever this collective is going through, this is the support you have, the archangel that's here to help you, and this is what they're here to help you with. Again, Azrael, the release, helps to release pain, grief, and negative emotions to make way for healing and growth. All right, let's see which planet is working with us with Archangel Azrael so we can see the area of focus. One card, please, Spirit. Which planetary energy would like to work with us or guide us through this healing? Chiron. Well, that makes sense. Okay. Chiron, the wounded healer, that original wound that we come into this life with. So here it says core wounds, vulnerability, potential through pain, right? Well, Archangel Azrael is to help us release pain. So when we can learn and understand what this pain is that we are coming into this lifetime to heal, okay, we can focus on it and we can really make that wound become part of our wisdom. All right. And that's what we do with Chiron. We gain wisdom through our wounds. Okay. Let's grab tarot here and see what the message is. And at the end of these Archangel readings, I do pull an oracle card. So if you are interested in sticking around for that, that will be coming up. All right, Spirit. What's the focus of this healing? 3 cards, please. Okay. All right. We're starting here with this 5 of Swords. Okay. Venus and Aquarius. So there's definitely in our communications, our thoughts, our beliefs with ourselves or others, some conflictive communications, some conflictive thoughts. Okay. When we're in this state where Venus should actually be bringing beauty to our life and enhancing our love and creativity, we're held here in a state of conflict. So Venus cannot come in. All right. In the traditional Rider-Waite card, this card has the 2 of Swords and the 3 of Swords in it. Okay. The 2 of Swords is the moon in Libra. The 3 of Swords is Saturn in Libra. What does that tell us? What is the catalyst to this card? What's igniting this conflict? The 2 of Swords, moon in Libra, when we are unclear, when we don't want to acknowledge the things that are causing pain in our relationships, okay, we keep ourselves in a state of unhappiness, okay, of trauma, of reliving difficult experiences. With that 3 of Swords, okay, Saturn in Libra, when we don't build boundaries and structures in our relationships, okay, they fall apart. Okay, they can't stand the test of time because they're not built on a strong foundation. That leads us to the Five of Swords. Okay. Now our relationships are affected. Venus can't come in and help us embrace love because we haven't done the groundwork to build that type of relationship. And we end up in conflict in our mind. Should I stay? Should I go? Is this person who I think they are? There's so many things that can encompass the energy of this card, but that's where we're at right now. We've already built the relationship on a weak foundation. It hasn't been built with the proper structure. Okay. Now we're heading to that moon in Libra. Okay. Not really wanting to acknowledge all the things that are happening that are not for our greatest and highest good. And then we're, again, like I said, we end up here in the Five of Swords: confusion, conflict, not playing fair. Okay. So that's part of the healing that needs to happen. But here we are again, not wanting to find the clarity, the Ace of Swords. We're really not accepting the places, the experiences, the opportunities where we can live in the truth of the situation. We're fighting that for some reason. It'll be different for everyone. Okay. Especially if this has to do with some type of relationship, we tend to do that to ourselves. We stay because we don't want to be alone. We have codependency issues. All right. So we don't see the things that are really happening around us. We don't want to see them. And of course, that opportunity is presenting itself with this Ace of Swords, but you have to accept the truth. You have to be accountable where you have to be accountable. And you have to see what the other person is actually bringing to the table in reality, not in a fantasy, not their potential, what is happening right now. Okay. And this type of behavior, when we have these types of reoccurring situations in our relationships, that can absolutely 100% be connected to that Chiron wound. Okay. And we're not in the place of healing with it that we should be. So we're still creating trauma. Okay. So look and see where your Chiron is. All right. What zodiac and which house. All right. We have to understand the houses and to understand our astrology. Okay. They're not, a Virgo is not a Virgo. A Taurus is not a Taurus. It's fed by the energy of a house. So a second house Virgo and a 10th house Virgo are not the same people. All right. So back to this reading. Here we have the Nine of Wands. Okay. The Nine of Wands is the wounded healer in the tarot. Okay. Directly related to Chiron. All right. This is the Chiron card. So Moon in Sagittarius. Again, we don't want to see things. Okay. We're keeping ourselves behind this wall of wands, bandage on head. All right. And what happens when we do that? We're using our wands for protection. We're using our energy for trying to figure out situations and how to cope on a daily basis, not figure them out for the long term, figure them out for our survival. Okay. We're putting our energy into fixing other people's problems. We're in putting their fires out. We're putting our energy into keeping ourselves satiated in an unhealthy relationship. What we're not doing is putting our energy or using our wand's energy to live to our fullest potential, for our growth, for our expansion, to live in excitement, to live in optimism. Okay, so here we see that we've been using our wand's energy wrong. Okay. And Archangel Azrael is saying we need to release pain and grief and negative emotions to make way for healing and growth. Chiron's here. Healing. Nine of Wands is here. Healing. Okay? It's all here, plain and clear. All right. Spirit, Archangel Azrael, Chiron. What are the challenges we're going to face as we're going through this acknowledgement and this healing process? 3 cards, please. Okay. Pretty interesting. Okay, we're going to start here. Knight of Pentacles, Virgo energy, the challenge. The challenge here, which makes sense, right? We haven't been doing this. How do we figure out how to take action towards it? Slow, steady, making a plan, learning how to implement it day by day till it becomes part of our daily routine without thought, with ease, without resistance. Okay. Taking time to make plans for the long term goal. Okay. The Knight of Pentacles sees things through till the end, but the Knight of Pentacles does not rush. The Knight of Pentacles stays true to that goal, no matter what interference comes in. Okay. This Knight does not get thrown off course by obstacles. He's steady and strong all the way through to the end of what needs to be done. And I know that seems like a huge, huge challenge. Okay. But start with small steps, small goals, and start working them into your daily routine, and add another as you perfect one. Okay. Very important. Slow and steady wins the race. Healing is not a 2-week commitment. Healing is a lifelong commitment. Okay. And here, more Virgo energy, the Hermit. Okay. Again, the Hermit also takes their time. Okay. This is not a fast moving situation or healing process. Focusing on quiet, going within, introspection. Okay. You might not like the truth. Okay. It doesn't mean it's wrong. The truth might not be comfortable. It doesn't mean it's wrong. Okay. When you can learn how to sit with yourself, be your own guiding light here, following that light of the star in the hermit's lantern, that light that's leading you to that ultimate healing. Okay. When you can learn to go inside that way and really look at yourself and see how you've been contributing to your unhappiness. Okay. Because we all do that to ourselves because we're in denial and we don't want to face things, and the conflict is familiar. So we stay in it. Okay. We have to let that behavior go in order to grow here. All right. In order to heal. So focusing on going within and looking at the things that you do need to work on, that you do need to heal to gain wisdom. Okay. Not to judge yourself, but with understanding and compassion that life is a learning experience. And unfortunately, we learn more from our mistakes than we do our victories a lot of times. Okay. And having the attitude of this is about gaining wisdom, not about being in judgment. All right. We're going to do that slow and steady, daily, small steps towards our long-term goal of healing. And here we have the Fool card, Uranus. Taking the first steps, that's going to be the challenge. Okay. Understandable. Uranus energy is the great disruptor. Okay. It asks you to do things in a different way, ways you never even considered. Be open. Okay. Taking the steps, not focusing on, we have the 0 there, not focusing on what happened in the past. You do as far as healing, but not letting things that you're attached to hold you back. Okay. Not looking into the future too far. All right. Looking at what you can do today to move forward, because that's really the only control you have. Okay. We can't change the past. We can learn from it. We can become wiser from it. We can't control the future. No matter how much work you do for healing, curveballs are always going to be thrown your way. All right. But that doesn't mean we stop trying. That doesn't mean that once we get through one hurdle here with that Knight of Pentacles, that we don't become the fool again, that we have to overcome that hurdle and keep taking new steps, a new journey, a new learning process. That's part of life. That's part of our growth. That's part of our expansion. Okay. And let me tell you from my own healing process, there's times that I think that I have resolved feelings with things, okay? And then a circumstance comes up 4 years later, and I realize, well, now is my opportunity to go a little deeper on that healing because something's come up about that situation again for me. So I did the healing that I needed at the time to move forward. Something happens down the road and you become the fool again. Okay? That's part of life. We can always go deeper. We can always learn more. We can always perfect. But don't be afraid. Take the step. Spirit, what's your advice? Archangel Azrael, what is your advice? 3 cards. Well, sure enough, I'm just going to say it now, the 5 of Cups is here, which makes perfect sense. Okay. So we have a lot of Scorpio energy, lots of transformation. I'll tell you that right now. Let's start with the 5 of Cups since I brought that up first. Here's the 5 of Cups. Advice from Spirit, and it's going to make sense when I explain it. This card is a card of Mars, okay? Mars and Scorpio. So what does this mean? This means that when we have grief and trauma and disappointment and hurt in our life, we're supposed to spend some time to process it, okay? To transform, to understand it. However, with this being a card of Mars, we're not supposed to do that and stay there. We're not supposed to sit in grief and trauma and upset and hurt for 6 months, okay? Take time to process, but then take action, Mars, towards your transformation, Scorpio, okay? Use it as a tool to heal, to learn this. I mean, it's just coming out here very clearly, especially with that Hermit. There's a lot to learn through this experience. There's a lot to learn through this healing, but we have to take action to transform, okay? Not to identify with grief, okay? Not to identify with trauma, okay? That is not who you are. It happened to you, but you are not that. You are a spirit, a soul that has just as much beauty and vitality as any other person out there. But you have to transform. You have to believe it. You have to take the action. Okay? Advice from Spirit. Take action through the emotion you have from your grief and let it motivate you. Okay? And here we have the 7 of Cups, Venus in Scorpio. Our choices, being wise about our choices. Okay? And I say with this card often, we want to consider, are the things we're choosing Venus on the outside and not Venus on the inside? Are we making our choices on things that look enticing, a good looking person, a person with flash and flair that can wine and dine. But when you get to the interior of that person, it's a hot mess. Okay? We make choices like that. We pay the price for it. Okay? We need to choose Venus on the inside, and that might come plain. That might be somebody that has that Knight of Pentacles energy, slow and steady. Okay? They may not have highs and lows, extreme mood and energy shifts. Okay? That's because they're stable. Okay? So they can stay consistent through the ebbs and flows of life without roller coasters of emotion. All right. We want to focus on that while we're moving forward and while we're making choices. Because I'll tell you, if you can find Venus on the outside and the inside, you're winning. Okay. But a lot of times, it can go one way or the other. And when we're choosing Venus on the outside and not on the inside, we usually learn a hard lesson from that. Okay. Page of Cups, advice from Spirit. More water energy. Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. Okay. All water energy up here. So we need to definitely focus on our emotions, our emotional healing. And here we want to focus on it. And again, clean slate, full card, Page of Cups. Emotionally, clean the slate, especially with that transformation in the Scorpio energy there. Burn down what has not been working for you and be the student of a new emotional self. Okay? Learn new ways of dealing with your grief and your emotions that inspire you, that heal that inner child with that Page of Cups, first of all. Okay? But make you want to find new ways of loving, new ways of giving love, new ways of receiving love. Become the student of it. Become the student of your emotional healing. Okay? This person here looks like they are at complete peace. Be the student of finding peace for your life, especially in the sense of your emotion, your water energy. Okay? Very, very important. Become the student, and then you can become the master of yourself. Okay. Archangel Azrael, Chiron, if we can work through this healing, our challenges, and follow your advice, what's the potential outcome? 3 cards, please. One more card. It's been raining for a couple of days, so my cards are a little overhydrated. They're sticking a little bit. Okay. Okay. We're going to start here. 7 of Pentacles, potential outcome. Saturn in Taurus. Beautiful. So now we're learning. Now we're getting a hang of it. We're going to pay attention to what we're tending to. What are we growing in our garden? Who are we allowing in our garden? Who are we planting seeds with in our garden? Are they going to bring stability? Are they going to bring help with resources? Are they going to help you feel safe? Okay. Saturn, we're going to structure this garden differently. We're going to structure it to last. And where there's any danger of something interfering with our safety, security, our grounded energy, we're going to put a boundary around it, right? Just like if you had rabbits eating some vegetation in your garden, you would put a barrier up. Okay. Same thing. Protecting your grounded energy at all costs. Okay. To make sure that when you're growing and you're planting seeds, that they can actually thrive. Okay. Very important lesson here with this card. Okay. Don't let parasites into your garden. Don't let weeds into your garden. This is your paradise. Okay. This is what you're tending to build all of the things in your life that give you that safety and security of the Pentacles energy and your material world and your resources. Okay. So structuring it so that it's sound and safe. And that's here as your potential outcome. Very important thing to learn. So, Four of Wands, Venus in Aries. Very important card. This just came out on the last reading too. When you learn to put yourself first, when you learn to do what is right for you and what is necessary for you, and I'm going to tell you, many people have their Chiron in Aries, because I do as well. It's in the fourth house because Chiron spends the most amount of time in Aries. All right. So with this Venus and Aries being here, a lot of us have Chiron and Aries. Okay. When you can learn to focus on what is in alignment with you, what is right for you, what feels in your greatest and highest good, things of that same energy come into alignment with you. Okay. That's when your relationships start taking on Venus energy, not this Venus energy here where it's blocked by conflict and bad decisions. Okay. Because you're forcing things that are not in alignment with you to stay with you. Okay. Because we don't want to see the truth and we're not doing our healing work. Here, you do the healing work, you step into that alignment with yourself, and all of a sudden, all of these synchronicities start happening. People and situations and things that are meant for you start falling right in front of you. Okay? Because you're living in your truth. You're living in your truth. And now the things that are meant for you can find you. They can't find you when you're not living in your authenticity. Things aren't that are not meant for you find you. But when you're living in your authenticity, Aries, first house, the self, focusing on that as a priority, healing that as a priority, not putting your energy into other people's problems just to keep them around. Okay? Then you find everything that is meant for you finds you. Okay? That if that's not motivation, I don't know what is. And then you don't have to worry about putting all these protections up in your garden of the things you're trying to grow for that Taurus energy, that Venus energy. You don't have to protect it because only the things that are meant to be there are there. And what do we have? The Chariot, another card of alignment. Okay? That when you, again, it's a card of Cancer and it's very connected to the moon. Okay? But this card's very connected to that solar plexus, that self-belief, that ego being balanced and correct. So we know exactly how to move through life without any resistance, and we don't stop fighting. We step into that Chariot energy. And it's a connection between the third eye chakra, that moon energy, and that solar plexus. That gut intuition's on point, but so is your spiritual intuition. Okay? So you know when to move left and you know when to move right. All right? You know who to allow into your life and you know who you need to release. Okay? But your determination to push forward and be victorious allows you to not hold on anymore, but to release when you need to release, because that intuition is so strong and powerful that you must listen to it. You must move forward no matter what. You must complete this process no matter what. Okay? Amazing. And let me tell you what, both of these cards are about alignment with yourself, with your higher self, with the universe, with your spirituality. And when you can do that, you bring nothing but beauty into your life, Venus and victory. Okay? Being so in touch with that intuition, it's crazy. And with this being a card of Cancer, really healing that feminine energy, and with the solar plexus healing that masculine energy. Anywhere that you didn't feel confident before, now you feel confident. Now you feel secure. Now you push forward with your plans no matter what. Okay? You don't let anything stop you. And doesn't look like anything's going to stop you here if you take the first steps. Okay? And that Fool energy, a beautiful healing. Let me get a card from the Blue Angel Oracle. These are Archangel guided messages. Okay. Archangel Michael. Okay. One card, please. And hopefully one will come out. These cards are a bit sticky from the humidity. If not, I'll pull one out. Let's go with this one. Okay. Pendragon Sword, card 41. If 41 is an important number to you, or the number 5. Balanced power. This consecrated sword, which came up here too, so pay attention to that because we have this sword twice. This consecrated sword represents balance, power, and wisdom, qualities bestowed only to those who have earned them. Chariot. This is a coming of age for you. Much can be accomplished now with relative ease, provided you remain balanced and grounded. Knight of Pentacles. You are bestowed the power of the dragon, ruler, king, and magician. This great honor and privilege is also a great responsibility. You can hold this power indefinitely for as long as you honor, respect, and use it wisely. Okay, so it looks like here with this help of Archangel Azrael, you're really stepping into an energy of power, okay, resilience, being able to cut through the difficulties without too much resistance here, okay? All right, thank you for being here. If this did resonate with you, if you would subscribe, like, share, any of that good stuff. I'm new here, so I'd love the support. I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to also just, as soon as I'm done here, start recording a chakra message. Okay, so thank you for being here. The chakra message will be out next. Keep your eye out for that. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.